So, we're continuing on our journey. What we're doing, and if you've missed any classes, which you have, they're all on YouTube, so you can catch up. But basically, we're talking about Tefillah. Tefillah, translated as prayer, isn't prayer. Tefillah is intimate communication with infinite, loving, divine consciousness. Hopefully from the deepest part of you, which is an expression, a finite expression of infinite, divine, loving consciousness, which is you, that's your essence. David Shlomo, Jonathan Gamliel. What's your Hebrew name? Yaakov Yitzhak Ben Avraham. That's cool. Ben Hashem. So fine. So we'll be going through the fact that there are two types of prayer. One type of prayer is called informal prayer, informal tefillah, which means just talk to God. Like your best friend. Hey man, struggling, upset with you. You can say you're upset to Hashem if you feel upset with Hashem. And then after you've expressed how upset you are with Hashem, then you can say, okay, I'm sorry Hashem, I realize that really if I understood everything, if I had an infinite viewpoint, then I won't be upset. But I'm a human, and Hashem says, that's okay, I get it. It's all right, chill. So you can just talk to Hashem whenever you like. And then we said there's something called formal prayer, which is from the Siddur, the prayer book. And we said that doesn't make any sense. Because how can there be something called formal, personal, intimate, authentic communication with God? That doesn't make sense, telling me what to say and when to say it. But I gave 4,000 classes on that before. You'll watch them and you'll understand, no, it's actually a very deep psychological and mystical entryway, abracadabra point into connection to Hashem through the holy words of our sages and our prophets. And then we've been going through the Siddur, the 4 stages of the Siddur. We said there's physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Physical is at the beginning of the Siddur, talk about getting up in the morning, washing your hands, going to the bathroom, opening up your eyes, getting dressed, all that physical stuff. Then we move into Pesukei de Zimra. That's songs of verses of praise, which is mostly Psalms, Tehillim, which is to open up your heart and wow, basically. The purpose of Pesukei de Zimra is, wow, the world's unbelievable. There's DNA. And I've been watching lots of nature videos recently. I really enjoy them. Usually like lions fighting crocodiles and stuff. And orcas, I'm very into orcas. Anyway, so wow, what an amazing world. Look, hands. Then we said 3rd stage is intellectual, the Shema. The Shema is a declaration of belief. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. Lots of classes I gave on that. And now we're moving into the 4th and final highest level, which is we've gone physical, emotional, spiritual. We're now mental. Now we're stepping into spiritual, which is called the Amidah, the Shemona Esrei. And we're working out how to actually step into the Shemona Esrei with the right mindset. Because if you really understand what's going on, the fact that you're literally standing in front of the infinite divine creator of the universe who really, really, really wants a relationship and really, really cares about what you have to say, then it would be very, very exciting for you. And you'd look forward to the 3 prayer sessions a day. You'd be like, more than breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This is breakfast, lunch, and dinner for your soul. You're like, very few people skip lunch, especially on Schnitzel Day. No one skips lunch on Schnitzel Day. So if you really understood that mincha is Schnitzel for your neshama, for your soul, much better, by the way. Schnitzel, hot sauce, mayonnaise for me, like, good pickles, like, good. Then you'd love me, you'd want mincha, need mincha. Like. So you should be craving mincha and shachris and mariv more than you're craving food or attention or your team to win or any other desire, if we really understood. So the first thing we've been learning in the Shulchan Aruch, Siman Tzadichet, which is 98, which is talking about the kavanah that you have when you step into Shemona Esrei. Kavanah, we said, basically translation is intention, but it really comes from the word kivun, which means direction. Where are you going with this? What's your motivation and what's your intention? Where are you going? So your kavanah. So the last class, we said that the very most basic thing is you have to understand and feel what you are saying. Understand. If you're just reading Hebrew words and you don't understand them, then that's not called praying at all. So rather pray in English. Even the formal prayers, rather pray them in English and understand what you're saying than try and muddle through in Hebrew. Although, obviously, seeing as the Hebrew language is the matrix and the building blocks of creation itself, the more you can use Hebrew, the better it's going to be for your spirituality. Right. So at least understand what you're saying and feel that you are standing in front of God, literally. Now, are you actually really standing in front of Hashem? Always. You really are. Hashem says all the time. But our sages say that when you step into your 3 steps into Shemona Esrei, you've tapped into a much higher level. You're always standing in front of Hashem, but sometimes you're just a little bit more there. A little stronger Wi-Fi connection. It's just, you're more plugged in. So understand what you're saying and who you are saying it to. So I said last time that in the Siddur and Judaism in general, the single most important word is the word Ata, you. Because if you can say the word you with actual intention, it means, and that means I'm literally speaking to someone, some being who's literally there, then you won the game. But if you say the word you, but if you say a bracha and you're like Baruch Atah Hashem, but you don't feel you were actually speaking to someone, then you missed the whole purpose of the bracha. And you got to feel, think, know that the Shekhinah, the divine presence, is literally there in your face. So what I do in my Shemona Esrei, I actually do a zoom in, zoom out. Zoom in, zoom out. In Kabbalistic writings, this is called Ratzo V'Shov, running and returning, expanding and contracting, small and big. In Native American terms, it's called mouse vision and eagle vision. There's mouse vision and there's eagle vision. And you have to have both, and you have to know when to do which. So, when I'm standing in my Shemona Esrei, I try to feel that I'm talking to God, who is right here, very personal and close. But then sometimes I zoom out to past the universe, infinite. Oh my goodness! Your mind can't even grasp how huge Hashem is. Even the word big, we're said in the first blessing we're going to get to it in Shemona Esrei, we say Hakel Hagadol, the big God. And the Gemara, the Talmud says, you can't say that. You can't call Hashem big. It's like praising a king who has a billion gold pieces for his one copper piece. What do you mean God's big? But it's just to give us some idea of the immense. So that gives you a sense of awe. In my mind, I expand out and I'm like, Hashem's so beyond me. But then I zoom back in. And sometimes I try and feel like that, and it gives me a bit. Bam, close, far, very healthy. So we're going to talk about it. You're going to use your koach hadimyon, which means your power of imagination. You have to imagine that you're standing in front of Hashem. One of the examples I gave you in a few classes ago was I sometimes imagine myself standing on a pillar miles in the sky. And below me is all the Himalayas, and I'm standing on this pillar in the sky, and there's a spotlight on me, and all the angels and Hashem, everyone's saying, okay, what would you like to say? And I'm gives me a little sense of awe when I do that. Cool. Yes?
That's good for Shemona Esrei, because you mentioned that you do that for what would you like to say, which would more like personal prayer, but it works for both, I guess?
At the moment, I'm doing this for Shemona Esrei, but we're going to see that the Shemona Esrei is meant to be a personal prayer for everyone. No, it's personal for the community. You're not praying for yourself in Shemona Esrei at all. We'll get onto that. Although some people say you should, well, we're not there yet, but in general, the masters, the Arizal and the Vilna Gaon and the Nefesh HaChaim and lots of people say you should not be praying for any personal needs in the Shemona Esrei. Although the Talmud, the Gemara says that of course you can. So we'll talk about that. Yes?
How do you focus? You said in your mind you focus on seeing Hashem and like expanding,
Not seeing Hashem. Just it's more of a feeling than a vision.
Okay. So how do you focus on that? Because aren't we?
I feel that Hashem's very close, but then I feel that Hashem is it's more of I'm not imagining any picture of a big
It's a feeling.
a man with a beard very close to me and then a man with a beard very far away from me. I'm not doing that.
So you're doing this while simultaneously focusing on the words of the Shema.
Yes, well, we'll see. In general, I daven a long Shema Esrei because I take time in between the words. The words are important, but the space in between the words is more important, I believe. So any time in my Shema Esrei where I suddenly feel I'm not actually speaking to God, I'm just saying the words, I'll stop. I'll take another deep breath. And I'll try and feel that Hashem's really there, and then I carry on. So I'm not doing any crazy Kabbalistic weird stuff and different names of God, I'm not doing that. I'm just trying to literally feel that I am actually speaking to God. So in fact, I'd say there's probably more space in my Shemona Esrei than words. It should be at least half hour. It should be equal, I think.
Why do you think that the spaces are more important?
Because it could be that you're so deeply, deeply connected to Hashem that you don't need the spaces so much. For me, the spaces are what tap me back into feeling the presence of Hashem. Whereas often the words take me out of doing that, which they shouldn't. So maybe there is a very high level where, no, the words are keeping you there, but I'm not on that level yet.
Does it work similar, like the, I don't know if there's like any, like if there's like some appropriate metaphor, but like the white space in Torah?
100%. I was going to say, Torah is black fire written on white fire. You have the words on the scroll, and then you have the white space. So the white space is very, very deep Kabbalistic ideas of what's really going on there. It's the consciousness behind everything. Yeah.
So we're talking about focusing in the Shemona Esrei, and you're saying what helps you is pausing longer between the words. When you're, for me personally, when I'm focusing down in Shemona Esrei, I notice more times than not my mind wanders.
Okay, we're going to get there. Watch this. ויעשה כל המחשבות הטורדות אותו עד שתישאר מחשבתו וכוונתו זכה בתפילתו. And you should gently push away all of the external thoughts that are distracting you until your mind becomes pure, clear. So how do you do that? So we've given many examples in my classes. One is clouds, to think of thoughts like clouds. So if a thought comes into your mind in the middle of Shemona Esrei, you could then beat yourself up about it. Oh, why am I thinking about a girl in the middle of Shemona Esrei? Why am I thinking about my phone? And what you've now done is, you've now taken yourself even further away. You've now engaged in the distraction. So engaging in a distraction is distracting you even more. So all you have to do is acknowledge the distraction and literally just let it go past like a cloud. Take a deep breath. They're gone. Or you could say something, I'll get to that after Shemona Esrei. I'm just in a meeting right now. Thanks for coming. I'm in a meeting. I'll get back to you afterwards. That's it. And this is general. Lots of our mindfulness training is to not make the distractions significant. Don't engage in them. The other example I often use is buses. When you're at a bus stop and a bus comes along, you don't get on every bus that comes along. If it's not your bus, you let it go past, but you don't fight the bus. You don't judge the bus. You don't judge yourself that the bus came. You just say, it's not my bus. So whilst you're in your middle of Shemona Esrei, thoughts come, and that's meant to happen. It's not meant to happen, but it's going to happen, unless you're some genius mindfulness master. But very, very difficult to daven a whole Shemona Esrei without thinking an extraneous thought. Some people, you're traveling the whole Shemona Esrei, just the words are coming out, but you're thinking about different things. So you've got to stop at that point. Okay, stop, and then carry on. He's actually going to stay in a minute. He's just got to completely stop and wait for them to go. The Baal Tanya in the Tanya, chapter 27, one of my favorite pieces of Jewish wisdom ever written. We learnt it the other day together. If I had it with me, I'd like to read it inside, but it says, if you ever feel sad or depressed because you have a forbidden thought, or a desire thought, or whatever, you've got it exactly wrong. Adarabba, exactly the opposite. You should be very, very excited. When a forbidden thought or a desirous, that type of thought enters your mind, you should be extremely happy. Why? Because now you have an opportunity to fulfill the mitzvah of lo tatru achrei levavechem achrei nechem. You have the opportunity to do the mitzvah of not thinking that thought. If that thought doesn't come along, then you're not doing the mitzvah of not engaging in it. If you don't think about stealing something, then you're not doing the mitzvah of do not steal. Are you fulfilling the mitzvah of do not steal right now? No, it's only if you see something and you're like, oh, there's an urge to steal it, and you say, I'm not stealing it, then you fulfill the mitzvah. You're not fulfilling the mitzvah of do not kill right now. If you feel like literally I want to kill someone and you don't, then you fulfill the mitzvah. So the fact that you have a negative, foreign, forbidden thought coming into your mind should get you very excited, because by you just knocking it out the way, you fulfill the mitzvah. And then he brings it, the Zohar says, that gives extreme nachas to Hashem.
What's nachas?
Pride. He's proud of you. The simple sense is Hashem feels very proud of you. A deeper sense is nachas means to bring to rest, like an aeroplane is lanuach. So it means you bring God into the world. When you have a forbidden thought that you do not engage in, you bring God consciousness into the world. Baruch atah Adonai. V'heinu melech ha'olam she'akol nהיה b'dvarai. Do we get this? Very excellent. So if you start judging yourself for having that thought, then you meant out, you got on the bus. Just don't get on the bus, man. Yeah.
I don't know how limited this question is. Distracting thoughts can come up in the form of like words or images, but I think they more often come out as like words.
Yeah.
Kind of supplanting. Is there any like?
So watch the words. Just see those. It's a bus. The words are even better. The words are even better because they're just buses. I wonder what's for lunch. Just see the word. I wonder what's for lunch. But don't get engaged in it. Just watch it go past.
Do what the words say.
Yeah, but don't even analyze the words or like, I shouldn't be thinking about what's for lunch now. Don't do that. Just, I wonder what for lunch. There it goes. Thoughts naturally go. You don't need to push them out. The other example I often use is waves. When you're going surfing, you don't get on every wave. You just let them go. The ones that aren't good, you let the wave go. So thoughts naturally do go. So you don't need, people often say to me, how do I fight my thoughts? How do I push that thought out of my mind? You don't need to. That's the nature of thoughts. They go unless you keep them. And think to yourself how it would be if you were speaking to a king, or more practical in our terms, to the Rosh Hashiva, or someone you really look up to and respect. Pardon?
Can you repeat that?
Yes, he's telling you that you should use the koach hadimyon, the power of imagination, to say, how would you feel if you were standing in front of the Rosh Hashiva right now? You'd feel awe and respect and reverence and excitement. So it's very hard to feel those things for Hashem, who you can't actually sense and see and experience with your five senses. So he's saying you can tap into the feeling of awe by thinking of a great person, how you would feel, and then multiplying that by 1,000,000,000, well, by infinite. So use that. How would you feel now if David HaMelech walked into the room right now? How would you feel? You'd freak out. So use that feeling, and it says, Hayam Mesadeh Devarav. You would order your words. If you got to go to the Rosh Hashiva, you got a 5-minute meeting with him, and you got time to ask one question or something, or the person you most want to ask that one question to, you'd prepare what you're going to say. You'd be like, okay, I don't want to go in there and say, well, I was thinking that I've got this issue, and maybe you'd be like, you got to know what I want to say, so you got to be prepared. And you'd really mean them. These are my words. You wouldn't, if you were talking to the world's best business coach and you happen to want to be a billionaire, you wouldn't go in there and start thinking about what you're having for dinner. You're like, hold on, I've got an amazing opportunity. If you're sick and you've got the world's best doctor, health expert, and available to you and you've got 5 minutes with him, you're not going to be going in there and wondering what your girlfriend's thinking about you. Well, you probably are, actually. That's what made you sick in the first place. But you get what I mean. So if you're going to be standing in front of Hashem, you should be like, if you really understood what you were doing and who you were doing it in front of, your mind wouldn't wander. The fact that your mind and my mind, I'm not perfect, the fact that our minds wander when we're praying proves that we don't fully get what we're doing and who we're doing it in front of. Well, great. So he's saying, use these tools to plug in. So if you're going to prepare your words to speak to a doctor or a business coach or the Rosh Yeshiva, and you wouldn't get distracted, all the more so when you're standing in front of Hashem, who knows what you're thinking as well. Not in a squarey way, it's like, God knows everything I'm thinking. Oh, don't get OCD weird like that. But Hashem knows what you're thinking. That's cool. This bit is slightly irrelevant for us, but it's good to read it because it's written. And this is what the holy, pious, tzaddikim, enlightened masters used to do. Who would be so engrossed and immersed in their tefillah, in their connection to Hashem, they'd basically have an outer body experience. It just wouldn't be, I'm standing, that guy's coughing next to me, he's annoying me. They'd literally have an outer body experience. Not something that you should be aiming for in your Shemona Esrei, I don't believe. But it might be nice if it happens at some point. It also says that they used to sit for an hour, I think we spoke about this, but they would sit for an hour before they even started praying, getting into meditative consciousness. The Rambam says, Lahashkit machshavatam, to quieten their mind. Other people say it's to fill their mind with awe and whatever. There's passive meditation techniques to calm and clear your mind. Active meditation techniques in order to fill your mind with the correct thing. But they spent a lot of time before they even walked into Shemona Esrei to get ready to walk into Shemona Esrei. And they'd reached very close to the levels of Nevuah, of prophecy. Once again, lots of people come up to me and say, when you lived in India, did you see people like levitating? And like, no, but why would you want to? Because it would be fun. Like, Rabbi, can you teach me to have an out-of-body experience? And I go, why? You'll have an out-of-body experience when your body dies. The rest of eternity will be an out-of-body experience. Now, if you're honestly saying, because that will give me a deep connection to Hashem, not because I want some kind of egotistical spiritual high. There's a book called Cutting Through Spiritual Materialism.
What's it called? Cutting Through Spiritual.
Yeah, you don't want to read it.
Don't read it.
Well, maybe you do. Interesting. The person who wrote it, a Buddhist monk, a major teacher, ended up with lots and lots of Ferraris and women accusing him of things, alcohol problems and stuff. Although I do remember it was a particularly good book, but there are very, very good Jews. Once you've read every single good Jewish book, then you can read it. Once you've learned the whole Gemara and the whole of the Rambam and read my book, then you can read it. V'im tavo lo machshava acheret b'toch tefillah, and he's going back to this, and if another thought comes to you in the middle of your tefillah, yishtok, shut up. Not the best translation, but actually it probably is for now. Just stop. Don't carry on praying, just saying the words, but stop, yishtok, stop it. Ad shetitbertel amachshava, until you nullify those thoughts. Till that thought, if you're still thinking a thought that's got nothing to do with your prayer, you shouldn't be praying at that point, you should be stopping. Stop, get back into the zone. Okay, we've got to stop there, but we'll carry on. There's not so much more to do, but we will carry on tomorrow.